Hello and welcome to the class. So today we are going to study the various tools and techniques of evaluation which are used during this process in the subject secondary or senior secondary education. And the learning objectives for today's class is to analyze the role of evaluation and all its aspects in teaching learning process, to understand the concept, types, purpose, principles of tools and techniques of evaluation, and also enable our teacher trainees to design a good evaluation program and utilize evaluation meaningfully. So, evaluation is a broad term, as we have discussed earlier in our classes. It is a part of life. In every situation, in every relation, in new things, we undergo evaluation process. So same is the case with education, and education is also incomplete without the evaluation process. It is the process of determining the worth of a thing which we have been carrying out. So as we know that evaluation must be prepared according to the concept, according to our objectives, according to our content. So it depends on the types of learners, as we know that every individual is unique and no two individuals are alike. So in our class we have different kind of learners. They have different IQ, they have different aptitudes, they have different attitudes. So we have to consider this thing in our mind while preparing any kind of technique for evaluation. Then we have to decide that why we are doing the same type of evaluation for everyone. So education system is as good as its evaluation system. So this is very important. So evaluation and education, they both are interrelated, as we can see. So without a proper good evaluation system, education cannot be, we can say that successfully can be given to our students. So as we have discussed that uh, there are different terms which are used in the wide concept of evaluation, that is assessment, test, evaluation, measurement. These all are interrelated and it all depends on each other, and without each other's help a successful evaluation process cannot take place. So let us take a brief look at these concepts. First of all, we will discuss about the measurement. It involves carrying out actual measurement in order to assign a quantitative meaning to a quality. That is, what is the length of the chalkboard? Determining this must be physically done. So this example we can consider that when we have to measure, what is the exact measurement? So measurement is therefore a process of assigning numerals to objects, quantities or events, in other to give quantitative meaning to such qualities. So when we have to find out the quantity of the aspect which we want to measure, then we use the concept of measurement. If the student scores 80 marks in mathematics, there is no other interpretation we will give it. We cannot say that he's passed or failed, because no other judgment or other criteria has been fixed yet. It is simple the marks which we are seeing, simple the measurement of the marks. So measurement stops at assigning the quantity, but it does not help in making value judgment of the child's performance, on which criteria it has been based, how it has been based. Then we move on to our next content topic, that is assessment. So assessment is a continuous process in evaluation. It is a fact-finding activity that describes conditions that exist at a particular time. It involves measurement, where it gathers data. Assessment organizes measurement data into interpretable forms on a number of variables. It may describe the progress students have made towards a given educational goal at a point in time. So it can be discussed that what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses of the students, what till what level they have achieved, what have they learned till now, what the progress has been made by the students till now. So in a classroom, assessment refers to all the processes and products which are used to describe the nature and the extent of pupils' learning. So a number of instruments are often used to get measurement data from various sources. And these kind of instruments are test, aptitude test, inventories, questionnaires, observation schedules, etc. So all these sources give data which are organized, which provides evidence and the direction of that change. A test is thus one of the assessment instruments. So it is used in getting quantitative data. So it is a technique. Then we move on to our next concept, that is evaluation. And evaluation, thus, at the end, adds the ingredient of value judgment to assessment. It is concerned with the application of its findings and implies some judgment of the effectiveness, social utility, or desirability of a product, process, or progress in terms of carefully which defined objectives or values which we are earlier agreed upon. So evaluation often includes recommendations for constructive action. If certain things need to be changed, or to certain progress can be developed or made, then it should be taken in consideration. Thus, evaluation is a qualitative measure of the prevailing situation. So it is the estimation of the worth of a thing, process, or program in order to reach meaningful decisions about that thing, process, or program. Now we come to the concept of techniques and tools of evaluation. So we all know that evaluation is a part of education and we have to carry it out. It is a continuous process. But for that, we need certain techniques and tools. And the teacher needs to be aware of these various kinds of techniques and tools, how on the basis of what they are going to use these. So these tools and techniques are required to gather information. The word tool literally means implementations for mechanical operation, but in educational evaluation, tool may be defined as an instrument to collect evidences of the student's achievement. So these tools and techniques should be valid, reliable, and reusable. We can use it many a times. Interpretation of gathered information needs to be given in numerical scores. It can be given in grades as well as in qualitative terms in any form which you have decided. So judgment should be made not just on scholastic aspects or the academic aspects, but also on the co-curricular aspects or the co-scholastic aspects, which is supporting the scholastic aspects. So scholastic aspects is related to the syllabus or the content only, and the co-scholastic aspects are related to any kind of life skills, any kind of behavior change, or any kind of activities which goes on with the academic concepts. So for bringing the quality evaluation, first of all, we have to decide what are the criteria questions which we have decided for using a particular kind of tool or technique. So for this, we discuss that if we want to follow the norm criteria, if we have taken the criterion kind of test in which different criterias have been established, then how the evaluation will be done, the techniques and tools which we are going to use for that. And both of these will in addition will bring out the quality of the evaluation. Then only we can say that the quality of the evaluation can be balanced. Otherwise there will be a defect in bringing the quality. It will only the quantity then. So certain standard should be maintained on which the achievements of a learner is measured, and this standard is the tools and the techniques. So there are various kinds of tools and techniques like achievement test, anecdotal record, cumulative record, checklist, rating scale, questionnaire. Many kind of tools and techniques can be used. But there should be certain quality criteria for preparing these tools and techniques, and then afterwards then using these tools and techniques. They should be valid, reliable, they can be reproduced, they should be sensitive according to the content, specific to the content, specifically prepared for the content which you need to measure, whether you want to take a practical exam, whether you want to take written exam, whether you want to observe only, whether you want to give grades only. What is your criteria? So in this way, we prepare the types of evaluation, decide the types of evaluation. And if it is as per the quality of evaluation, we see if we want to just measure the quantitative, do the quantitative evaluation or the qualitative evaluation. And as per the time of evaluation, whether it is formative, summative, pre or post evaluation, or diagnostic evaluation, as we have discussed regarding the types of evaluation. So we have to see that what kind of quality we need to adopt for evaluation, or what kind of purpose is regarding the evaluation point of time. If we want to do formative evaluation, which is done with the learning system, with the teaching learning process, or we want to summative at the end of the completion of the course, or pre or post evaluation we need to do uh, before going into the class, or just going into the class we need to find out or diagnose the problems, or after completing the chapter, or after completing the topic we need to do the evaluation. So what is the time of evaluation? So again, we will be summarizing the differences between the formative evaluation and the summative evaluation. So if we want to bring the quality, we need to see the purpose first. So whether we want to detect strengths and weaknesses, or whether we want to see the overall achievements of the students. Frequency, we can decide during the unit is going on, or at the end of the unit, or we want to carry out our evaluation at the end of the certificate program. At the end, we want to produce give a scholarship, we want to give marks, we want to promote the student to the next class. Area covered, in formative evaluation, we can cover little area, less area, like one unit or certain number of units. And in summative evaluation, we have to consider the whole content. Whether it is formative evaluation, it is not always necessary that it should be recorded every time, or it should have a permanent record. Whether summative evaluation is done for the decisiveness, and for permanent record. And for formative evaluation, we give feedback immediately, it is done immediately. And in summative evaluation, we inform the students whether they are passed or failed, so based on our criteria. Feedback to faculty, if a significant number shows error then weakness in their instruction. So if time to time formative evaluation is done, the teacher will come to know that what kind of errors are there in their instruction, what teaching strategies they should change, what kind of teaching methods they can adopt. So it will be known to them timely. And in summative evaluation, it is at the end of the completion of the course. So now the chance is in the next semester, or the next session, where the teacher need to again look into their introspect into their teaching methods, in the ways, the quality of their instruction. Now, what evaluation questions they want to judge, on basis of which aspect? As according to Bloom's taxonomy, there are three domains based on which the evaluation need to be done of the students, and which is the cognitive domain, affective domain, and the psychomotor domain. So we are very much aware of these domains. And cognitive domain is related to knowledge part, affective domain is related to the emotions, feelings, or the impact part, and the psychomotor domain is the application part, or the skills which the students have learned. So in which domain do we need to ask the questions? We just want to evaluate the knowledge part, so it will only cover the cognitive domain. If we want to look into the affective domain part, what kind of impact have taken place on their minds, what behavior changes have taken out in the students, or the psychomotor part, how they have learned by doing, what skills they have achieved. So for example, in music, in drawing, in sports, we have to judge the psychomotor domain. So for that, we are not going to prepare the written questions or the essay type questions or MCQs. We need to find out what skills they have achieved. For that, we have to take the practical part. We have to take the performance assessment. We have to carry out the performance assessment, how they have performed. So this depends on our objective, that what kind of questions in what domain we need to evaluate. And if we know that, then we can include each level of evaluation in the tools and techniques which we want to carry out. Tool is a physical item that can be used to achieve a goal. So tools that are used in particular fields or activities may have different designations, such as they can be known as the instruments, utensil, implement, machine, device, or apparatus. So for preparing food, we need tools like utensils, different kinds of utensils for different foods. We need machines for preparation of various items or products. We need devices to carry out various kinds of experiments, or apparatus for that. So the knowledge of constructing, obtaining, and using tools is technology. When we use these tools, this we do through the help of technique or technology. So this is how we will find out the difference between the tools and techniques. We use these terms as simultaneously, but these have little differences among them. So the technique is a basic method for making or doing something, such as an artistic work or scientific procedure, skill or command in a particular activity. So for first, we have to decide the tool which we want to carry out for our evaluation. Then we decide the techniques through which we are going to do the evaluation. So first of all, we are going to discuss about the observation technique, and it is one of the basic method and oldest method which have been carried out since the Vedic times, since the ancient times. And in this, the investigator own direct observation, obtain the direct information through direct observation without asking from the respondent. If observation is systematically planned and recorded, it can be used to check for their validity and reliability. So it is assessed through senses with or without mechanical devices. It can be done through senses. It can be used, it can be done with the help of mechanical devices like some recording devices. So commonly used for behavioral studies when we want to observe the behaviors. So it continuously observes individual by measuring different dimensions of this behavior, which is relevant to the teacher. It depends. There are relevant feature noticed in this behavior. So there are two kinds of observation techniques, that are structured and unstructured. So in structured form, everything is actually predetermined, like standardized condition of observation is there, careful definition of units, how and what will be done. The style of recording the observed information will be very much clear in the mind of the observer. It is generally done in the descriptive studies. And where we are talking about the unstructured part, the observation does not take place as in structured observation. So here there may be behavior could be recorded objectively, and there are different types of observation actually, as the two types which we have seen is structured and unstructured. And it can be observed in the forms of field notes, anecdotal records, or checklist. So these kind of tools can be used while using the observation technique. And these are there are two more kinds of observation, like controlled observation and uncontrolled observation, participatory and non-participatory observation. So when everything is in control and everyone knows that the observation is going on, then that is the controlled part, or the participatory kind of observation. And if there is kind of observer is sitting there, and the people who are being observed does not know that they are being observed, then it is non-participant and uncontrolled condition. So there are certain advantages and disadvantages of this technique. So the teachers must know that they have to do away with the disadvantages and try to make use of these techniques as in their own way. So and if we look at the advantages, the subject bias is eliminated, and in spite of any kind of activity going on, the observation will be same for all. It relates to what is currently happening, and it is independent of respondent because it is done by the teacher or the observer himself or herself. So there is no opinion of others to be taken care of. So it depends totally on the observation technique, how the technique is being used by the teacher. Disadvantages is that it is an expensive method, it takes time, it requires a kind of hard work. Information is very limited because it is related to the part in which the observer is observing, and after that they are not able to gather the information. And sometimes there are unforeseen factors that may interfere with the observational task. So if there is controlled situation, the people who are being observed, the students who are being observed, will not behave in their natural way. Or the teachers, if you want to as a teacher trainee, you are being observed by a supervisor, so you become conscious. So sometimes it may interfere with the technique which is being used for supervision or evaluation. So various aspects of personality developed can be assessed through observations. It can be used to assess individuals as well as groups. So observation can be done for the individuals as well as the groups. It can be done during varying time periods. It does not it only imply that it has to be done at the particular time. It can be done again and again. Evidence of students' performance knowledge is based on the on-the-spot record. So on the spot, what they are doing, it is being observed and recorded. So it can be recorded through various mechanical devices like the video cameras or the mobile phones or the audio voice recorder. So detailed observations of behavior as well as interest, challenges, patterns, trends emerge, which allow teachers to create a comprehensive picture or view of the student. So it is always done with the view of an intention. So information can be best collected about students in natural settings. If they are sitting in their class, they can be observed then and there in their natural settings. If they are doing their experiments, if they are carrying out any activity, if they are taking part in any activity, if they are taking part in sports, so then and there in their natural settings, they can be observed. Observations about learners during the whole course of teaching can be done. Other information is based on planned and purposeful observation of students on the basis of various activities or the tasks which they have been given in the class or during the various teaching strategies. So there can be, as we have discussed, the controlled or uncontrolled type of observation, or the participatory or the non-participatory type of observation. Then the next kind of technique is the interview. So interview, here the teacher tries to observe the child's behavior directly and gather information orally. So interview basically is a two-way method which permits an exchange of ideas and information. So as a technique, the interview is a conversation carried out with the definite purpose of obtaining certain information by means of the spoken word. So interview is a process of communication or interaction in which the subject or interviewee provides information verbally in a face-to-face situation. So there are basically two people sitting in an interview. There is one person is the interviewer and the other person is interviewee. So it can be done at the time of viva. It can be done at the time of taking exams for any kind of scholarships or any kind of promotions. And it can be done for the purpose of survey. So it can be used in various ways in which you have to know about the various kinds of information from the interviewee. So this classification can be done in various forms. There are various kinds of interviews which can take place. Like there are personal interviews which can taken in the form of following methods like structured, unstructured, focused, clinical, non-directive, or in-depth, and then there is telephonic interview also. Like personal interviews, in this questions generally can be asked face to face. The sort of investigation may be in the form of direct personal and maybe indirect. So in personal interviews it can be direct or indirect. In structured interviews it involves a use of set of predetermined questions and of highly standardized techniques of recording. So while talking about the advantages, it requires less knowledge and skill because the simple questions can be asked based on the knowledge. It takes less time because you are already prepared with the questions, and it is more systematic and authentic. Whereas if we look at the disadvantage part, it provides only superficial information because you don't know that the interviewee is saying the truth or the false, saying the right, giving the right answers or not. If you are asking about the personal opinion, it can be more rigid because if you ask the question, then sometimes you may ask them just to directly answer the certain question and not go here and there. So no freedom in giving answers, and it is not used. It cannot be used in all situations. Whereas in unstructured reviews, flexibility of approach to questioning can take place. It doesn't follow a system of predetermined questions and standardized techniques of recording information. So here it is unstructured, and on the basis of situation, some questions on the basis of topic can take place. So it allows greater freedom to ask question. Various kinds of question can be asked. Various kind of information can be gathered. It provides flexibility. Data is more accurate and adequate. And whereas if we look at the disadvantage part, it demands knowledge and greater skill. And sometimes it is difficult to analyze the information, and it is certainly time consuming because sometimes asking questions, one question leading to another question, it can lead to a lot of time and effort by the teacher, and there may be many students to be interviewed, and still they are going on with one student only just because it is unstructured. So it depends on the teacher that how they want to carry out the technique. Then there is a focused interview in which the attention is focused on the given experience of the respondent and its effects. And then there are clinical kind of interviews. It is concerned with the broad underlying feelings of individual's life experience, and it can be used while giving the guidance and the counseling purpose. Then there is non-directive interview. It encourages the respondents to talk about given topic with the bare minimum of direct questioning. So here the respondent is left free to take their talk, take their answers in any direction. In-depth interview, it is searching or giving emphasis on psychological or social factors. So again, it is good for the purpose of guidance and counseling. Then the second type is the telephonic interview, or we can now in these days we can collect the data or do interview online mode or through emails also. So it collects information consist in contacting respondents on telephone. So advantage is it is more flexible in comparison to mailing method. It is faster than other methods. Recalling is easy. Callbacking is simple and economical. And disadvantages are there is shortage of time for respondents to reply. So sometimes they may not be free to every time give responses on telephone. Restrict to respondents who have these kind of facilities with them. So we have discussed about the focused interview and the in-depth interview. Now, another kind of technique can be used is project method, which was given by the William Kilpatrick, which is based on the philosophy of pragmatism, that is the learning by doing. So these are undertaken over a period of time and generally involve collection and analysis of data. So this is a very important method which is being used by students, by teachers in the class in different subjects. So they are useful in theme-based tasks to be completed as assignments in groups. It can be given individually or on the group basis. They can be open-ended or structured and can be both individual or group projects. They should be based on, but it should be considered in the mind of a teacher that it should be based on context outside the textbooks. Because if it is within the textbook, then there is no use of giving project method and involving students in such a huge task. So it should be related with the content, related with the syllabus, but it should be given outside the textbooks. It should be related to the students' environment, culture, lifestyle, community-based social programs. So here are the advantages of the projects. It provides opportunities to explore and work with one's hands because they will learn by doing. They will observe, collect data, analyze, organize, interpret, and draw generalizations. It provides an opportunity to work in collaborative way in groups and in real life situations. It also helps in developing a positive attitude towards group work and towards each other, towards the peer group, towards the other students of the class. So the sharing and learning from each other is very good for the students. Then the next technique is the rating scale. It is the expression of opinion or judgment regarding some situation, object, or character. So the opinions are usually expressed on a scale of values. So rating scale refers to a scale with a set of points which describe varying degree of the dimensions of an attribute being measured. So it can be used to evaluate human behavior, like their reactions, tendencies, opinions, values. So this can be done while taking feedback from the students, while taking feedback from the teachers, or when the students give feedback for the teachers, or the parents give feedback for the teachers. So in this way, the rating scale can be used in this manner. It can be used to record the quantified observations of a social situation, program, campaign, customs, etc. It can be used to describe activities of an entire group and the changes in the situation surrounding them. So this is the purpose of rating scale actually. Teacher performance or effectiveness, if we want to know this, or we want to check out about the personality, anxiety level, stress level, emotional intelligence, IQ level of the students. Institutional appraisal, including appraisal of courses, practices, programs, which is a regular practice of an institution which need to be done regularly so that we can bring changes in the weaknesses and develop our strengths which are provided to us, which are given as a feedback to us. So this is generally taken into consideration while taking the feedbacks. There are numerous types of rating scales. The first time is numerical scales. A sequence of defined numbers is assigned to each behavior or criterion. So if we talk about the use of stimulus variation skill, whether it is useful for you or not, so a student can give at the rating scale of 5, whether he found it excellent, very good, good, fair, poor. So this is how we do rating in observation schedules during micro teaching also. Graphic scale, in which graphics are given and a straight line is shown vertically or horizontally with various cues related to the behavior or to mark the appropriate one. Example, how effective was the interaction during presentation? Highly effective, substantially effective, average, fairly effective, or less effective. Then there is standard scale in which A, B, C, D, E can be given. So on the basis of grading, it can be done. Then the next technique is the questionnaire. So questionnaire comprises of a set of questions. It is a very flexible tool for gathering information, and that can be answered and filled by all the respondents. So this is usually popular self-report or self-administered method. It is commonly used to get various kinds of data, whereas example demographic data. It allows the collection of larger data from large number of sample quickly and inexpensively. So this is the most popular kind of technique which is used while evaluating or while doing the feedbacks. There can be open-ended questions or close-ended questions. Limited responses are given in the close-ended questions, whereas in open-ended questions, researchers can give information as much as they can ask for information as much as they want. Sometimes it is difficult to analyze because the answers can be varied. It can be in negative or positive form, so it becomes difficult to analyze. And whereas in the close-ended questions can be checked and analyzed very easily. So have you ever taken a course in statistics? Simply they have to answer in yes or no, true or false. So this will be much easier if we have to prepare any use any technique for evaluation. So various advantages are there for the questionnaire technique, that it can be posted, emailed, or faxed. It can cover a large number of people or organizations. It covers wide geographic coverage. It is relatively cheap. No big prior arrangements are needed. It avoids embarrassment on the part of the respondent because they don't have to answer such embarrassing questions, or while they are giving the feedback, their name need not to be given, or they should not be disclosed. That should not be disclosed that who have given this kind of um, any kind of uh, embarrassment which they face. So respondent can consider the responses at their own pace of time. There are disadvantages also. Some teachers sometimes find problems in designing that. Questions have to be relatively simple. There is low response data. There is sometimes time delay. Uh, it requires a return deadline. Several reminders may be required for that completing of that deadline. It assumes no literacy problems, no control over who completes it. It sometimes not possible to give assistance if there is any confusion by the respondent regarding filling of the questionnaire. These are the types of close-ended questions which can be prepared, like dichotomous questions, whereas in which the true, false, or the two answers are there. Multi-choice questions, cafeteria questions, whatever questions the respondent wants to answer. In rank order questions, rating scale, checklist, or any kind of visual scales used. Dichotomous questions are yes, no, male, female. Two answers have to be choices have to be given. So, have you been hospitalized? Yes, either no. Multi-choice question gives many kind of responses, many kind of alternatives. So there is kind of choice to them. Then portfolio is the next technique. It is the collection of evidences of students' work over a period of time. So this is prepared by the teacher. It could be a day-to-day work or selection of the learner's best piece of work. So the advantage is it provides a cumulative record of the student, and in this process a picture of how a skill or knowledge area develops emerges before the teachers of the students. It enables the student to demonstrate to others his or her learning and progress. The learner becomes an active participant in learning and assessment because they know that their portfolio is being prepared, so they will become active in everything. These are the specific tools of evaluation, like anecdotal record. It is used to assess past behavior of the students. Rating scale, this we have discussed. It is used to classify opinions and judgments regarding situations, object, etc. Then there is aptitude tools, like they are used to measure the potential performance and special ability of students. Then there are certain inventories or checklists. They are used to assess the expression of the inner feelings of individuals through questionnaires, etc. Then there is teacher made and standardized test. These are used to measure in numerical terms the attainment of students in various school subjects. So questionnaire, we have discussed that this is a device for securing answers to a series of questions which is related to the problem under investigation by using a form which the respondent fills in himself. So there can be written test also. The test can be taken in various forms like written test, oral test, or the performance test. It can be done in multiple choice form, true, false, matching, completion of fill in the blank, essay type, short notes, long essay, short answers. These are the 9 steps of basically the process of evaluation, which starts from the planning part, then it goes on to the implementation part, and then in the last, evaluation or the feedback part. So this is how we first define the purpose and scope, then specify evaluation questions, then specify evaluation design, then create data collection action plan. This is the planning part. Then while implementing, we need to collect the data, analyze the data, interpret the data. Then there is the feedback, in which we disseminate the information and we give feedback for improvement. So this is how the process of evaluation takes place. This is how the action plan need to be prepared, like what is the level of evaluation we need to do, what kind of type of evaluation we have to do, the selection of the evaluation technique, the selection of the evaluation questions, from whom, for whom we have to collect the data, by whom it will be done, when it will be collected, how it will be collected, and how data will be analyzed. So all these questions when are answered, so you are using the perfect, your evaluation part will be perfect. So this is how we need to choose the evaluation method. Why, when, the style, the types, the level, or the resources which are available to us at that time, what kind of subjects for which we are going to consider the evaluation, the tools, the equipment, the expertise, etc. So this is how we need to first choose the evaluation method. So we all have understood till now that the goal of evaluation is to bring improvements. The status of the evaluation need to be improved, and then we have to gather the feedback. On the basis of that, we will bring changes in our standards. So if you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. So evaluation is important. And with this, we come to the references part. And in this, you can go through eGyan Kosh, where various tools and techniques of evaluation have been given in detail. And there is one MOOC course by the National Open School, on which you can find out more details about the topic. So this will help you in further learning. Now we will move on to our next part, that is the evaluation questions. And the question number 1 is, which of the following is not related to observation? So we have discussed about the various types of observation. The options are controlled, participant, non-participant, or essay type question. And the answer is essay type question, because the observation can be done in controlled, uncontrolled way, participant or non-participant manner, or the structured or the unstructured manner. Then the question number 2 is, dash is the expression of opinion or judgment regarding some situation, object, or character. So we have to identify which kind of tool is that. So the options are checklist, anecdotal records, rating scale, or practical exam. So the correct answer is rating scale, in which we need the expression of the opinion, of the judgment of the respondent. Question number 3 is, which of the following not comes under core scholastic areas? The options are academic works, life skill, attitudes and values, games and sports. And the correct answer is academic works. The other options, the last 3 options, B, C, and D, They are the co-scholastic areas, and the works which are related to content syllabus are the academic works. Hands-on assessment is otherwise known as, the options are formative assessment, summative assessment, performance assessment, or none of the above. So this we have discussed that when we have to do the hands-on assessment like learning by showing, by doing, then it is the performance assessment. We have to show what kind of skills which we have achieved. So the correct answer is performance assessment. The next question is, assessment is used to, the options are improve future student learning, analyze and synthesize of new information, recall previous information, or all of the above. So the correct answer is all of the above, as assessment is related to all the above three informations. It do all kinds of things. It helps in realizing the weaknesses and strengths, and thus give timely feedback to the student so that they can improve timely. The next question is, learning style of students is determined by, the options are textbook, learning material, assessment, or teacher. So the learning style of students, if we want to identify, for this, we do the assessment. We cannot find the learning style through textbook, nor through learning material, and neither teacher can do alone without any help of technique or tool used by them. So the correct answer is assessment. Question number 7 is, the action verb examine is used for. So we know very well that the Bloom's taxonomy makes use of certain action verbs while preparing questions for evaluation, and the action verb examine is used for, the options are analysis, understanding, application, or synthesis. So the correct answer is application. While doing the application, the examine word can be used in preparing the question. Question number 8 is, the basic method for making or doing something such as an artistic work or scientific procedure is. So this we have discussed while discussing the two terms tool and technique. And the options are tool, technique, painting, or sculpture. And the correct answer is technique. So this is through technique we use the tool, make use of tool. Question number 9 is, dash could be a day-to-day work or selection of the learner's best piece of work. So the options are portfolio, case study, interview, and measurement. So this we have recently discussed that the correct answer is portfolio, in which a day-to-day work of the student or the selection of the learner's best piece of work is collected, and thus it provides as a cumulative record for the student. And last question is, project method was given by, the options are John Dewey, William Kilpatrick, Herbert, or C.V. Good. And the correct answer is William Kilpatrick, who gave the concept of project method, that is the learning by doing, on the philosophy of pragmatism. So with this, we come to the end of the topic, and I hope you will go through this video and go through the references and know more about the topic, tools and techniques of evaluation. Thank you very much.